Crystal, for such a glowing introduction, especially the attractive part. I love that. You can never hear you're attractive too many times. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
No.
Okay. I am Toya Hankins. I'm the author of Rho-The, Sweet Taste of Sisterhood, and I'm also, this is my second book. My first book is called SBF Seeking, and it was published in 2012. The thing that I try to put across in my work as the introduction is I went to East Carolina University. I'm a native of North Carolina. I'm also a sorority girl. And what I write, I want to give voice to a community that includes myself that I don't see often represented. I think that, not to dismiss other writers, but too often when you think of black, gay, and lesbians in the South, you think of black, gay, and lesbians in D.C., Atlanta, Memphis, not Raleigh, not Durham, not Southport, North Carolina, where I'm from, or Greenville, or Cherokee. So what I want to put across my writing is that we are here, we have worth, and even though we may be same-gender loving, we share the same things that everyone else likes. We go to church, we have family that sometimes gets on our nerves, we work. So I'm respectful that it is a snow day coming, and people are trying to get up and get out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just free flow with this. I'm going to do some readings, and then I'm going to take some questions. And so I'm reading from my Nook. So please excuse me as I try to juggle electronic appliances. The premise of Rho-The, Sweet Taste of Sisterhood, is it tells the story of Kiera Michaels, Donna, and Gloria, who meet while waiting to be interviewed for Lambda Mu chapter of Kappa Alpha Rho sorority, which is in the mythical Cooper Rho University, where once you read the book, if you pay attention, it's a slightly disguised East Carolina, because I put stuff in it that you will get the impression that's ECU. So what I'm going to read from is chapter 4.
Yes. Yes.
I'm reading from chapter 4, where they've already went through their process. And, well, let me back up and ask a question. How many people are familiar with the Greek system? Either as a member, or you know someone who's a member? Okay. Just want to make sure, because where I'm picking up is they've already went through their induction. They're going through their process. And part of the process is you learn information. Gloria's perception of the bond between the trio proved correct. Can y'all hear me? Even though one of the goals of the process was to nurture a sense of sisterhood among the seven, Kiera, Gloria, and Donna seemed to click more. The sisters did require the girls to spend extra time together beyond community service projects and education sessions. But the three chose to eat lunch together, study together, and in Donna's case, make love connections. You know, Key, if you're interested, after this is all over, I can introduce you to some of Peter's teammates. You know, I think you and Scott would make a cute couple. He may be small, but his ass looks something good in those red pants, Donna said. The three had decided to camp out in Donna's room following tonight's educational session. While she cooked pork cutlets for the girls' midnight meal, Kiera and Gloria worked on homework. No thanks. I'm not really looking to get hooked up with anyone right now. Just want to get through this process and keep my grades up. My mother is fond of saying how she kept a near perfect grade point average, all while being active in Kappa Alpha Rho, volunteering in the community, and attending church every Sunday. It's a bitch being the daughter of Miss Perfect sometimes, Kiera said, a touch of resentment in her voice. From the time I can remember, my mother has grown me in her image. She always wanted to take piano lessons when she was little, so of course I had to take piano lessons. She wanted to take ballet lessons when she was little, but there was no one in Lincoln County to teach little black girls. So guess what my tutu ass ended up spending most Saturdays before the age of 10. Well, at least you spend the weekends getting some culture. My weekends were spent helping the bereaved. It sucked being the oldest child, the only black funeral home owners in Duplin County. But hell, it provides for me and my brother and sisters. I thought you got a full ride to Cooper Rho, Gloria asked. I did, in a way. I got a scholarship because of my tuition, room, and board. But as far as important things, like a meal plan, to help me keep this gorgeous figure of mine, my parents are paying for that. But I'm not trying to talk about who's paying for what. I'm trying to get you matched up. I never hear you talk about a boyfriend or anything, so I guess you're single. You sure I can't convince you to give him a chance? He's cute. And I hear his people make a good living doing whatever they do in Greenville. I'm not trying to be nosy or anything, but when was your last relationship? Realizing she would not be totally lying, she answered, the last time I had a boyfriend was in high school. We met in 11th grade and dated up till graduation. He got a scholarship to Tuskegee, and I got my track scholarship here. We didn't want to do a long distance thing, so we broke up. Donna looked incredulously at Kira. You mean to tell me the last time you got broke off was 2 years ago, she asked? I didn't say the last time I got laid was 2 years ago. I said the last time I had a boyfriend was 2 years ago, Kira replied and smiled. Maybe the better question would be, who was the last person you kicked it with? Donna asked. Feeling pressured, Kira murmured, no one you would know. Looking up from her textbook, Gloria interjected, Donna, everyone in the world does not want to be hemmed up with a man. Can you put your matchmaking magic wand away for one night? I'm sorry, but I just think Kira is too good of a catch to be single. She got a nice shape on her. She's smart, funny, and has a good heart. I'm just surprised she doesn't have dudes banging down her door, Donna said, shrugging her shoulders. I appreciate you thinking about me, but I'm fine, Kira said. Then hoping to steer the conversation away from her, brought up Donna's favorite topic. So have you had a chance to talk to Peter this week? Smiling, Donna confirmed she had managed to arrange a secret rendezvous with her boyfriend. Despite the sickness being forbidden to see significant others, everyone snuck around. It was part of the fun. Even Kira had managed to steal a few moments with Chris. Since she wasn't ready to share her secret, she just told her sister she was running extra laps, a volunteer at the local mental health center. During the weeks of their process, Kira always managed to sidestep the relationship questions when posed by her line sisters. Prior to this process, she and Chris rarely spent time on campus together. The majority of their classes for their respective majors kept them at opposite sides of campus. When the couple socialized, it was with Chris's friends off campus or out of town. Since she had never crossed paths with her line sisters before their induction, she assumed she was safe from suspicion. Still, she wondered if any of the Kappa Alpha Rho sisters knew about Chris. While Cooper Road had about 5,000 students, someone who stood 6 foot tall with flame-colored hair and emerald eyes tended to stand out. Each day of her process, Kira waited for a comment, question, or accusation. 6 weeks into the process, she received her answer. So the book basically takes place where they go through the process and, spoiler, Kira comes out as a lesbian. And one of the things I deal with in the book is that how that is received by her family and her friends and her sorority members, both undergraduate and graduate. And what I want to come across, and I think I'm successful in that it comes across, particularly for the lesbian and, by extension, the gay community, when it comes to Greek life, is that not everyone lives up to your national ideals. As far as I'm aware, none of the organizations that make up the traditionally Black fraternal sorority organizations have non-national platform, anything against sexual orientation being a prohibitive measure to becoming or serving as a member. However, undergraduates and graduate members, including myself, have faced opposition because of our sexuality. And what I want to bring forth in the book is that happens. However, there are undergraduate members and graduate members and allies that says, you know, if you wear red, white, blue, gold, purple, the spectrum, blue or white, that doesn't detract from you being an outstanding member of the organization. And like any challenges, particularly with this, because it deals not only with opposition for her being a lesbian within the organization, but just life challenges with divorce and relationship, that the support of your family and friends really helps you make it through. What I hope to bring across is that I have a very Southern way of writing, because I think a lot of times LGBT members have opposition in the Southern community The Southern community, I mean just the South. Because I think, not to throw shade at people that are from up north or Midwest or West Coast, I think by and large our culture as Southerners, we're polite to the point of distraction. You know, we will bless your heart. Oh, isn't she just precious to death if someone doesn't fit what we think is the way it should be. So what I did in K-Row is sort of put that out there for discussion and show that you can pull together and you can deal with people's differences. That doesn't detract from who they are, and that doesn't mean that you're less than because someone does something different. So that's K-Row. That's my second book. My first book is called SBF Seeking. As you see the 10,000 copies in front of you. It is semi-autobiographical. It's based on my coming out process. I came out when I was 25. I was engaged to get married. I was 4 months away from marrying my college sweetheart, and something had never felt right with our relationship. So I sort of did some seeking on my own, and I ended up finding out, like, I stumbled upon it, that I'm a lesbian. And what I tried to do in SBF Seeking was, again, give voice to what I see around me. And I went to East Carolina University, as you heard my introduction, but I really, throughout all my works, I want to be very definite in shouting out my HBCUs. And one thing that I really did, and it didn't hit me at the time, it wasn't necessarily intentional, but I guess it comes full circle. This is my first college appearance, and in the book, the main character is Yvette, but her twin sister, Yolanda, went to Central, and she's a Delta. So what I'm going to read now is part of the introduction to her coming out to her sister. For 5 days in February, North Carolina's largest city turns into a big black family reunion. The CIAA is the oldest African-American athletic conference in the nation and has member colleges from Pennsylvania to North Carolina. Even though the conference holds championships in 11 sports, the CIAA Fan Fest celebrates men and women basketball. It is the third most attended basketball tournament among all NCAA divisions. It's been held in Washington, D.C., Richmond, and in Raleigh, but Charlotte is where the fun has been for the last few years. During CIAA week, you see proud grandparents who attended back in the day. Excuse me. In school colors as they check out the new generations. The CIAA experience ran from Wednesday through Sunday. The girls and boys championship ran from Friday to Sunday, and on occasion, I've caught a game or two. Like the majority of people who attended, my focus was on the parties. From high noon to sundown to sunrise, there were parties held throughout Charlotte. Any space which could support a dance floor, a bar, and a place to stand hosted a function. I've been to parties in holes in the wall and hotel ballrooms, but no matter the location, the feeling was the same. Typically, I drove down Thursday after work and partied until Sunday, but since this year I was going to be partying with a purpose, I told Yolanda I planned to drive down just for the day with Jasmine. I explained I could not take the extra days off, and Jasmine had never been to Charlotte or experienced CIAA. Yolanda sounded suspicious, but promised to make sure Jasmine and I had a great time. Tell me again why you're cutting into our sister time? I mean, we rarely get a chance to turn it out, Thurman style, and I was so looking forward to catching up with you this weekend. Yolanda said via email as I updated her on plans the day before Jasmine and I were set to arrive. She was in the middle of training and should have been paying attention to the speaker. Instead, we were mapping out the day parties we planned to attend. My second favorite word in the English language is free, and there was a ton of no-admission parties for us to be partaking. I told you, after I told Jasmine how much fun CIAA is, and how it makes me envious I didn't have the HBCU experience, she decided it would be fun to check it out. She went to Fisk and tried to make it back to homecoming every year. I told her CIAA was like a whole lot of homecoming weekends rolled into one. How could she refuse? See what you miss by going to a white school? Something about the HBCU experience makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Yolanda was the poster girl of a complete Black college experience. She participated in the marching band, pledged her sorority, served on the Honor Society, and represented her dorm during homecoming. Yolanda always said she claimed 2 homes. The one we grew up in Grifton and the dorms in Durham. Charlotte was just a stepping stone. I'll give y'all a little bit of shout out. So in SBF Seeking, it does detail the lead character coming out. And again, she deals with opposition and support from her family members, friends, and sorority. Sorority was the thing we and in the end, everything works out. So I'm trying to be as bridge and not give too much away. I did a reading at the Durham Library last year, and I think I pretty much gave the whole plot away, so I'm being a little bit suspect with it. My books are available in print and ebook form. So if you have not had a chance, you can purchase it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I have 2 separate books with 2 separate publishing companies, so I always say to go either to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com to get the copies. I have copies of SBF Seeking with me today. However, I don't have any means of taking payment. So I trust you because y'all all look like good folks. If y'all want to get a copy, just let me know and I'll follow with you. That way you can have an autographed copy. So, any questions?
Hi, Sora. How are you? My name is Janelle, and I actually have a question for you in regards to your books. How long did it take for you to write each book? I know, especially with your first book, it was, I guess, semi-autobiographical. Right. Did that take maybe more time, or maybe less time, because it might have flowed easier as opposed to your second book? Or?
The first book, I started writing in '96 when I was coming out, and I wrote it and pretty much start to finish in 2 years. And then I put it aside. And I went back and read it, and it was so sad and depressing. I'm like, oh my God, my process was not that bad. So I picked it up and I revised it in 2011. And I went through, I shopped it with agents, because if you're writing, it works better for you. Some people do the self-publishing route. Some people actually get an agent and go to a publishing company, so I tried to do the agent. And I sent the query letters out saying, please don't you want to publish my book? And most people was like, no, thank you. Short and sweet. One agent in Massachusetts, she wrote me not only no thank you, but this is why no thank you, and this is why you need to work on it to make it a thank you. So I totally revised that. So that process, I think for the first book, it took 2 years. Then it took like 6 months to gut it and rebuild it. With K-Row, it took from start to finish maybe 18 months, because K-Row is strictly fiction. Only thing that's similar, well, really the only thing in K-Row that is similar to my process, I went through my process, I had 2 people on my line, I was a 2. And the book, there's 7 people on the line, so that took a little bit of my experience. Nothing, if you read the book, nothing as far as what those girls go through, I went through personally. I imagine just a different process, but with the second book, it took 18 months because it was more sort of pulling stuff out. But it was a labor of love. I'm actually working on my 3rd book. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I started writing it. My 3rd book yesterday. So I think just as the words come to you and the words come to me, and then I work full time, so my New Year's resolution was to write something every day, even if it's something like a sentence or a paragraph. So hopefully I should be able to finish my 3rd book maybe in a year or 9 months. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bashara, and I always like to meet new inspiring authors. I don't know if you're a new author, but just new to me.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I want to ask about the literary agent process.
Okay.
Did you already find an agent, or did you just use like one of those books? Like I've seen the books where they publish all the publishing companies and the people who you can submit to. There's usually very few that take open submissions. So how did you figure out who you could submit your queries to?
I went on, can y'all still hear me okay? Mm-hmm. I went online and I had used the book before because it lists all the different agents. But I think what I found in the book, because agents come and go out the business so quickly, or they may be accepting queries at the time that the book was published, but may not be accepting queries now, is if you go online, there is, I forget the website, but there are websites that will list all the agents that's out there and list who's accepting queries, who accept what type of fiction, because there's different categories. And I did that, and I sent maybe about 60 queries out, at least. What I actually end up doing with my books is not only will it list the agents, it will also list small publishing companies. My first book, D.O.M.S Books, is a small press out of Virginia, and they will list it because the owner, J.M. Snyder, publishes books, and she also writes. And so I did that. And the way I got in touch with the publisher for my second book, Rho-The Publishing, is after I did SBF Seeking, I was doing my own promotion, which I'm still doing my own promotion for my books. And she was based out of Kentucky. She recently moved. And she had a magazine, and I sent her a query saying, can I be featured in your magazine? And she said, sure, and if you want to publish another book, let me know. And so that's why I went with Rho-The Publishing. She is a lesbian of color, and I believe in supporting my own in all ways, shapes, and fashions. Because I believe if we don't support our own, we can't really be po-mouth about no one's helping us. We have to help ourselves. And so she took a chance on me, and so I'm taking a chance on her. She's been fabulous. The cover, I basically told her what I want to look like, and she did it, and I'm like so impressed with the colors and the flower. And if y'all have a chance to go to www.latoyahankins.com, which is my website, which I encourage you strongly to do, www.latoyahankins.com. She did my website. And again, it was just, this is what my website looks like because it was something I did, and she went and did everything. So I believe that we have to support our own. And because if we give back, we get so much back in return.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for being here. Most of us are administrators and coordinators in the student services unit. A lot of us are in student affairs.
If you
so
don't mind for accessibility, can you stand up?
Sure.
Where's it working?
Okay, is this good right here?
Yes.
Is this good light?
Thank you.
Hello. Okay, let's start again. Most of us are coordinators and administrators in the student services unit on campus, and we work in student affairs, and we have contact with students daily. That's what we do. We do student life and student work. So how would you, I guess, recommend or suggest that how we support students in the coming out process? You talk about that in your book. So how can we support students through that process?
That's a good question. I think as members of the administration, you have such an advantage because you know the students beyond just their sexual identity.
Right.
And if you have a student come to you and say, I'm going through this process or I have these feelings, I would say the best thing to do is relate to them as a student. And basically look at it in the sense, if someone came to you and said, I'm failing English, it's the same process. If someone coming to you saying, I have an issue, and the sexual orientation is just part of it, and just advising them. Be a listening ear. If you need that safe space, just let them know there's a safe space. If you need to come to my office and talk to me, I'll be there to listen. Sometimes it's just a matter of just sitting there and being that listening ear, because you as an adult sort of gives a validation that if I'm going through this process, you as an adult, you won't judge me. So if my parents are acting, and I apologize, acting the ass, I have an adult that validates me because also they come to you, they see you as an authority figure. So by extension, if you're validating me in my process, then I feel more valid as far as dealing with people acting the ass. If they ask you, suggestions, you can offer them, but don't put yourself in an uncomfortable position. I always say when dealing with people who are other, and that's not just sexual, just other, period. You don't want to self-censor. We all have a self-censor button that we all know. Sometimes we open our mouth and we say something that's completely back at us. We may still say it, but then it comes out of our mouth. So if you say something that's being truthful to you, and the person says that's hurtful to me, be aware and honest and say, I'm sorry, it was my intention. Because we all make missteps. Is that don't self-censor yourself because you don't want to hurt their feelings. Because sometimes it is, if you say something to me, we all have friends that hurt our feelings sometimes, but they're our friends. So if you're coming at me and it's not being hateful, but you make a social misstep, and we can dialogue, always don't self-censor, because that sort of puts a block on the dialogue. Say what you got to say. If it comes off wrong, or if it's perceived wrong, talk that through.
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about where you think sororities, maybe fraternities as well, if you're familiar with the system, where they are in terms of dealing with issues of LGBT equality.
I think it's a process. I'll give you 2 examples, and these are real-world examples. I came through my process. I became a member in 1991. East Carolina University, I was not out. I came out while I was a member of the Delta Zeta chapter, which is the grad chapter in Charlotte, which I checked was one of the largest graduate chapters. And I felt a little kind of some way about being a lesbian. And I think I alluded to it either in the book, that when I came out, we have committees assignments. And I was assigned to go on a committee working with girls 9 to 12 years old. After I came out, I was on this committee, I was reassigned. And another sorority member told me that the person that was over that committee reassigned me because she didn't feel it was appropriate for me to work with the young girls. So I was assigned to another committee. But I had other sorority sisters rally around me so that when I went to a sorority function, and it was our Founders Day program. And traditionally, Founders Day program, at the time I attended, was limited to sorority members and spouses and families. So we're in this room, majority filled with women who have their husbands and boyfriends. And it comes time for us to stand and sing the sorority hymn. So almost every woman stands up and sings, because every woman in here are Zetas, except my girlfriend, who is sitting down. And so everybody's looking like, why is she here? She not there. And two of my sorority members were sitting there. And one sorority member looked at my girlfriend, and then, that stage whisper that, okay, you're not really fooling about it. You meant for her to do this. Is that Toya's sister? And my other sorority was like, no, Toya's the only child. And so you have that progress. And this is like, okay, I'm just going to be real and honest with this, because I'm still standing for me as myself person. I moved here, and I was trying to join a graduate chapter. Now keep in mind, I've been a member since 1991. I had went to this particular grad chapter 3 years running, had expressed my interest. Now, during the first 3 years, I was going to be shaky. I would show up and not come back. This year, I showed up, filled out an application, said, yes, I want to join this grad chapter. Sent you a check for my dues. During the conversation, I basically said, I didn't even say I was a lesbian. I said that I've written a book. Here's my website. If you Google me, 3 things you're going to find out about me. Is 1, I work for the state of North Carolina. 2, I'm a Zeta. And 3, I'm a lesbian. After that, nothing. My check wasn't sent back to me. I saw these sororities at the function. They didn't even look at me in my face. So you're going to throw shade at me because I'm a lesbian, and that's not appropriate. However, I went to another graduate chapter, and they welcomed me with open arms. I know fraternity members that are open and honest with their sexuality. I know sorority members that are open and honest with their sexuality. I think too often I say we, but it's them too, we get caught up in what the image is supposed to be. No disrespect to my AKs, my adults, my SROs, but we all have been through that. Well, you don't look like a fill in the blank, because people have a perceived notion of what a Zeta is supposed to look like, or what a Q is supposed to do, or what a Kappa or Alpha or so on or Iota is supposed to do. I think what happens is that, and what is happening, is that members within the organization are changing that tide, saying, you went through the process just like I went through the process. You either brought me in or I brought you in. Last time I checked, I'm not one of my pearls. I'm not one of my whatever the founders are of the respective organization. I'm not on nothing with incorporation. it's not for me to say what you are or what you shouldn't be. And I think more and more members, fraternal and sorority, are realizing that. I can't judge you because when you go home after the Founders Day program, you're getting in bed with a woman or a man. As long as you show up when you're supposed to show up to your community service, I think more people are realizing it is still a struggle. You know, just again, this is something that happened to me 20 years in the game that I have, sorry if I look at me.
Could I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Are any sororities or fraternities actively addressing the issue?
Well, okay, I'll say this. There's a Twitter conversation going on tomorrow where we are engaging members of fraternal and sorority organizations that have this dialogue. Because it is happening for what I belong to a group where it is gay sorority members. And from what I can tell, there are those conversations going on in local areas. Like, obviously, if you're an out lesbian within, I'll give you an example. If you're in Houston, I have a soror who's out in Houston, very active. She's having a dialogue in Houston because it is an issue where some of our sorority members have raised that you're not worthy. It's happening in Jersey, it's happening in small pockets. And national platform, I'm not aware of. But it is, but I think it is something where, like a lot of movements, it's from the ground up. You know, in the book, I make a mention that Kara is up for election as a sorority, to be the head of her sorority graduate chapter. And there's an image that by making this decision to have her elected, she basically be the face of this chapter on a local, state, and regional level. So it is a process where if you elect an out lesbian or an out gay man to represent the organization, let's say you're the state director of Xanthi Beta sorority. That means that when I walk into that national meeting with my international brand ambassadors, which is our national president, I'm walking in as an out lesbian. So you can't sit and tell me there's no lesbians in this organization. I'm here. So it's a process that we who are out in our regular lives, we have to be out in our sorority lives and fraternal lives. Now that's an individual, how out you are. Like for me, I was out enough that when I go to a sorority function, I'm taking my partner with me. This is my partner. Some people, I may be like, girl, I saw you at the club yesterday with your girlfriend. Why is she not here? Maybe you're not that out, but we can still dialogue. So it's a process happening. It's not it's not national. It's not maybe regional. It may be, as a lot of things happen, it may be chapter by chapter. And it happens when you go to a function. You may see someone that's out, and you may change your opinion. We had a meeting in South Carolina where I had a sorority member who was out, definitely out. I could tell my gay out was stuck, yes. She was there. And it caused dialogue among, she was from South Carolina, I was from North Carolina. It caused a dialogue among us in North Carolina. Like, oh, did you see South Carolina? She came to me. Our president, she had on those pants and that Stacey Adams, but she was clean though. She had her Stacey Adams and she was elderly, identifying with her masculine centered persona, but she was clean though, and she was a Zayden. So we had that dialogue. So maybe just seeing me may have not been enough, but my soror, I see that it's not just me that's out there as a lesbian, that's Zeta. Maybe if I happen to transfer, I take that with me in the next chapter. So it's a process, but it's happening. It is happening.
Good afternoon. I'm Carolyn Moore, and I'm the director of Housing Center. We're working with students in the Housing Center who may be in a fraternity or sorority, but not yet out because of concerns about how their brothers or sisters might see them. Which one of the books, number one, would you suggest that they read in terms of help them with that process? Yes. The second. Okay.
Because in my second book, I deal with facing opposition on the undergraduate and graduate level. And you see how her sorority sisters respond. I'm sorry. Oh. It addresses it on the undergraduate and graduate level, and I was very definite in that you see, just to give a little hint, is she's being asked in the undergraduate level to take a leadership position. And there's been some rumors on campus, girl, you know there's a K-girl that's a lesbian. And so her sorority sisters are spreading the rumor, and she's like, I'm so hurt. Because you're my sisters, you're supposed to insulate me. If you heard that someone was talking about me, you shouldn't be contributing to the problem. I'm your soror, you need to pull me to the side and say, girl, you know what I'm saying. And so she has to deal with that. The betrayal not only is she being talked about, but it's her sorority sister that's feeding the fire. And then on the graduate level, she deals with that subtle whisper, like, well, I'm not saying that you can't do this. I'm just saying that maybe you're not seasoned to do this. And she's like, really? Seasoned? We grown women. Say what you want to say. So I think to give an example is to read that, because that gives you the opportunity to say, everyone's not going to hug you close to your neck. Everyone's not going to take that national prayer or national poem or whatever you say to heart. We, as individuals, can be catty, not just women. As individuals, we can be catty. We can be very possessive. Like, this is my organization. So I would say, have them, if they need to read that, because sometimes you have to pick your battles. And she says, you know what, I have a lifetime to be a K-girl. I'm not going to stress myself out. It hurts me, but this too will pass. I'm not going to walk with my organization just because you can't see what the organization is about. You're disrespecting my organization. I'm going to let you do this because you're losing it. You know.
What do you think specifically sorority or fraternity members have to overcome or face in order to be at a place to really do some work in this area?
I think they have to work on their own internal problems and address that, and don't use the sorority fraternity as a cloak. If you have a bias towards gays and lesbians, don't say that Omega Psi Phi don't like gay boys, or you can't be a Delta because you like women. No, that's you saying that. Again, don't use your organization as a crutch or a cloak. Be real and address what you got inside of you. And I just think, be honest. And not trying to put the mouth or talk about anybody's process, because I went through my process and I know what my process was like. But I'm pretty sure that when you go through whatever you go through, you're sharing a whole lot of yourself with other people. And if they didn't come at you that time when you was butt bound, naked or whatever, in the confines of position, they don't want you, boo-boo. And if they want you, they don't come at you like you come at everybody else. Don't overthink it. You know, I participated in an article in 2010 with Lawrence Ross about lesbian experience in sorority. And I said at that time, and I truly believe, if first of all, you're not that cute in your letters. Yes, that blue and gold is working, girl, you was working. However, I'm not trying to holler at you because you sorry or you my sister. And if someone does come at you wrong, your mouth is cut crossways like everybody else. If someone says something to you that you feel uncomfortable, you address it as such. Don't use, or she disrespected my shield. She made a mistake. She thought you was cute and you were interested. She said something to you, you said no, you keep on going. Most people, if they're rejected, are going to keep it going. So I would say for them, don't overthink it. Don't get possessive of your organization. Don't use it as a crutch for your own bias.
I have another question. And Tia, you kind of led into something I was going to say, but what do you think about the intersection of faith and the LGBT community with respect to sororities and fraternities? Because I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta. And I remember when I pledged, the organizations are historically based on Christian and or religious principles. So, so that's one question, with the respect to the historic religious and or faith community. And then again, and also, how can you make allies in the faith community with respect to the LGBT community?
I want to address that from a Christian perspective because I'm Baptist, born, bred. On that great getting up morning, I'm a dead Baptist.
Okay.
So I think as Christians, we have to look at it, you wear the WWJD, what would Jesus do?
Right.
I think that from a faith perspective with LGBT issues, you have to look at it like, what would Jesus do in this situation? Jesus wasn't above everyone else. Jesus didn't segregate himself saying, well, you're not coming at me with, your robe is not this color. You're not the house of whatever the house is. I can't associate with you. Jesus met people where they are, for who they are. For those who are Islamic or Jewish or whatever, I believe in my understanding that everyone's faith community dictates that you meet people where they are. And I think that you get to know people. We all get to know people, not groups. So I think that's what I would encourage people in the faith community to do is get to know the person, not the group, not that person you met last week that you didn't think was a good person. If you know me and we have went to church together and me and you were served on usher board and we went to the missionary service retreat and then you find out I'm a lesbian, that does not discount the fact that I was right there counting the money in the back room after, service with you.
Right.
Or, we was the ladies in white with the sheet. Because Sister Maybell fell out yet again. Again. Because she do it every Sunday. She went about to see her big hat. So she got to fall out on the altar. So I think you have to, I would encourage my sisters and brothers in the faith community, and not just Christians. I think too often times we want to give Christians the bad nose. And no, honey. They stoned a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of other lands for being homosexual, particularly in African and Arab nations. So it's not just Christians. I think you have to, basically, every time you go to church and the pastor or the priest or whatever says them words, as you leave, pay attention. Don't be looking for your purse. Don't be trying to get your phone turned. Pay attention to what he's saying or she's saying, and you live that. So in faith community, practice literally what the preacher preaches and what you should believe in. Any other questions? As y'all can tell, I'm really folksy. I own my southernness and all my colloquialisms. Thank you. Y'all quiet, man. So what time is it? I don't know why.
I have another question, unless we.
No, we can keep it going.
I don't want to keep nobody.
Can I sit with the mic? It's good right here. Okay, I have another question. We work together. We ask about questions. We're engaged. But my question is, I've attended HBCUs twice, and now I'm actually at ECU, get my doctorate. Okay, take us here. Okay. My question is, have you found a difference in your experience in how the LGBTQA community is perceived at a historically white institution versus the HBCU? Have you seen a big difference? Is it the same? What is your experience?
I guess I would say this, I'm saying this just from my perspective. I think that the fact that there are 2 North Carolina HBCUs that have LGBTQA centers is proof that HBCUs are realizing their strength and power. Granted, Fairfield State and y'all have the center. Winston-Salem State has done tremendous work. Bennett has the Bennett Bells. I think, is it Bennett Bells? Right. There are Howard, Morehouse to the point that they had to have a policy and discussion about male-identified, I guess I'm using the right terminology, males wearing dresses and skirts on campus. This is Morehouse. This is the bastion of what's supposed to be a black male. We're dialoguing. The fact that the Human Rights Campaign has an HBCU initiative where they bring together leaders from HBCUs to deal with LGBT issues, and there's always more and more people from more and more universities. I think that one of the strengths, and again, as someone who went to ECU, for what I've seen, I think ECU and other UNC do. I think in a sense there's more of a widespread out community. I may see you because you're in my class along with 150 other people. I think more at the HBCUs, I'm gonna see you on the yard, at the CAF, in the dorm. I want to see you, so I think that once people come out, there is that whole inclusionist that I may not agree with what you do, but you're going to be an eagle. You know, you're always going to be a ram or a golden bear or a bull. So I do think that HBCUs has that advantage, that by itself an HBCU is an incubator for self-acceptance of yourself and love. And I think you have to take that on to the next level so that when you step off this campus and let's say you're on 9th Street and somebody looks at you holding hands with your girlfriend, that me as an NCU alum, I'm going to see you and step in because you're my family. You may not be on Central's campus, but you're still an eagle. I'm going to protect my young or protect my brothers and sisters. And I think that's what HBCU sort of has as an advantage over majority white universities. It's just by the fact that you're here, you already have that built-in comfort level that I'm going to reach out to you beyond just being on campus. That's, from what I've gathered, that's a lifetime commitment. Like the CIAA, you see people that went to Central back in 1945, but they don't come out with their full gear, head, toe, shoelaces, and socks. Because I'm going to be doing the same thing, I'm sure, at CIAA.
First, I just want to commend you for your work, and I know how hard it probably is to be able to write, honestly, write the way that you're writing and what you're talking about. Because we all know I'm a member of a Greek organization, and we know how sacred coming out, and we know how we know how sacred.
We can't hear you. So if you can bring your mic up closer.
We know how sacred we hold our organizations, and so for you to go into that place and to be able to talk about something so sacred, I really commend you for that. And then secondly, I just want to talk about what kind of things you think could be happening on a national level, not even on the national level, but from, when you talk about, when we go to cluster, when we go to state convention, when we go to national convention, what can we do to get these types of issues, and not just the issue of LGBT rights, but all kind of more social activist issues, social justice issues on the agenda, instead of talking about, hazing and talking about whatever it is that we like to talk about all the time, So what do you think needs to happen to make that happen? And are you going to convention and selling your books?
Well, I think 1906, I respect. Look, every December you see all the stuff on Facebook. Yes, thank y'all. We accept your thanks for being the first. Right. My experience was out. So yes, trust me. I know all of it. I think what you do is when we go to our national conclave or regional, I believe that we all have a national platform. Like for example, we all have to be market out. But I think the way we do it, we spark the conversation is as individual chapters and regions, we can take on initiatives. So that if you're supposed to, let's say, do 25 hours of service each month, if you decide part of your 24 hours is volunteering with LGBT Center, when you do your report as far as what your chapter did, that puts it on the forefront. We volunteer with LGBT organization. We got our service hours. So that may inspire someone else to say, well, if they did it at Central and they got their service hours, so they're getting that award, maybe we can do it at Elon, or maybe we can do it at Benedict. That's the way where we start the conversation. I think we have to drive it upward. I think we have the experience that when you're in the trenches, when you're on the campus, and you are a graduate chapter, you're trying to do whatever you do in Journal Valley. Sometimes when you get to be on that regional level, you sort of get regional and national, we just want to get taken away from what's going on. We have to be